Hi, I'm Stephen Schwager. I'm the garden manager at the Marin Art and Garden Center in Ross, California. We're an 11-acre public garden. Today, I'm going to be showing you some tips in our edible garden for a successful harvest of your summer vegetables. So the most important thing you can do for a successful summer harvest is to properly prepare your soil. Oftentimes, when we've harvested our winter vegetables, the soil level has been depleted in the bed. So the first thing we need to do is add soil to bring the soil level up. We use an organic potting soil. To that we add earthworm castings, compost, humic acid. The humic acid helps break down nutrients in the soil, and then a little bit of well-balanced fertilizer. We then till it to the depth of 6 to 8 inches to make sure that it's in the soil deeply enough that root development of the plants will be encouraged. After you've thoroughly mixed the soil, don't forget to give it a good healthy drink of water, especially now because we've had a really warm, dry spring. The soil may have become hydrophobic where it actually repels the water, so you want to make sure that you soak it deeply and that the water has gone all the way down through the bed. Tomatoes are probably the most popular summer vegetable to grow in the garden. Tomatoes basically fall into two categories. They're either determinate or indeterminate. Determinate means that they're going to stop growing at a certain height and they become rather bushy. Those are the kind of tomatoes you need the tomato cages for. Here at the Marin Art and Garden Center, we like to grow indeterminate tomatoes because indeterminate means vining, and we have this great trellis for them to climb on. So when you plant a tomato, you want to first remove the two lower leaves and plant the plant a little bit deeper than you might think, because the tomato has the capacity to grow roots from the stem. And so by planting it a little deep, you're going to get a stronger root structure. So also, tomatoes are prone to a lot of different pests. So it's really nice if you think about maybe planting some natural pest deterrents as a companion plant. They could be marigolds or basil. They both work really well to deter pests. And plus, you could eat the marigolds in your salad and have the basil with your tomatoes. A lot of times you can find vegetables in these containers called 6-packs. The growers generally plant several seeds in each cell to ensure that they'll have at least one plant in each one. The nice thing is about these 6-packs is you can actually use every one of these little plants because they haven't had the kind of root development you'd have in a 3.5 or 4-inch pot. So you can tease them apart and you'll get a lot more plants than just 6. The other thing I like to do when I'm planting small vegetables like beets or radishes or turnips out of 6-packs is plant a successive crop. That way when you've harvested these, you'll have more coming on the way right behind them. Beans are super easy to grow. However, we wanted to get a head start on our crop this year, so I did buy starts. Unlike beets and some of the other root vegetables that you'll find in 6-packs, beans do not like their roots disturbed. So what you need to do is look through the 6-pack and pick out in each cell the strongest, most vigorous shoot and remove the other one. Beans also will benefit from having some support, so I like to build a little trellis sort of grid for them to grow through, and that'll help keep the ripened beans off the soil and also make a stronger plant. Cucumbers are another summer favorite. Usually you'll find maybe 2 or 3 plants in a pot. So again, it's best to choose the most vigorous seedling and then remove the other. So when planting cucumbers, it's a good thing to plant them at the same depth that they're growing in the container. I like to plant my cucumbers relatively close together. The plants don't seem to mind it. However, there's going to be less air circulation because of the density of all the foliage. It's wise to keep your eye out for mildew, which will probably show up as like a grayish coating on the leaves and browning of the leaves. And make sure to remove those as soon as you notice it. I like to build a little support for them to grow on. Eventually they'll find their way on their own to the trellis, but this support will help create a stronger plant, and you'll get a better yield sooner. I hope you find these tips useful and that you'll have a successful summer harvest. Happy gardening!